Over the last 30 years, I've become very aware that the automatic part of our brain has a huge part to play in people becoming overweight in the first place. In the current climate of the COVID-19 outbreak, there have been a lot of extra stresses added to already busy, full lives. Primarily, there is the fear of actually getting the virus and perhaps even dying. There is a significant threat to financial security. There's the added pressure of being confined to a small space with a small group of people, all of whom have different needs and perceptions of how life should be. There's an incredible amount of uncertainty about what the future holds. These are real issues. It can become very easy for them to overwhelm us, and the first automatic response our brain is going to make often is going to be to seek a source of comfort in something known. And in this case, it could be returning to eating, drinking, smoking, whatever other habits helped in the past. So to help you survive this time, but also to be able to live a better future, I want to show you some simple tools which have been shown to make it easier to cope with the stress that our brain is creating. The first thing to note is you are normal. We are the net result of a number of people that have survived through the years worrying, being overly careful, looking for danger, and surviving. So really, we're just the ultimate worrying machine. Humans have survived as a species because we're very good at solving the physical problems outside. We can find food, we can keep ourselves warm, we can protect ourselves from animals and tribes, and we can plan for the future. Unfortunately, the same techniques that we've used for working on the physical problems don't necessarily work for the perceived dangers in our brain. So when we can't come up with a physical solution to relieve the mental discomfort, we tend to go round and round in circles, worrying at the problem, looking at it from different angles, and with no solution, end up creating more discomfort. Again, if you don't have any extra training, that's the normal way all brains behave. So how are we going to get around this? The first thing to realize is that this automatic brain is not you. This is a brain that has been created and is running a lot of our lives on autopilot. So let's start off by giving your brain a name. I call mine George, and then noticing what George is up to. Now, George's job is to keep me alive and to keep me free from suffering for as long as possible. And he's done an okay job. I'm here physically pretty healthy, mentally not too bad, so he hasn't done that bad a job. However, the way that he solves the emotional problems are probably the same techniques that he used when I was 6 years old. And sulking and eating peanut brownies may have worked then, but they're probably not appropriate when I'm 64. George is also keeping up a constant commentary of what I'm doing, what's happening around me, and what he thinks is happening to me. And he's creating that on automatic through a filter of past experiences, beliefs, memories, and sensations. Whether they are real or not in his mind, and hence my mind, they are all very real, big, and dangerous. George regularly puts me into fear mode and activates my fight, flight, or freeze response. The adrenaline rush that he creates causes physiologically a narrowing of my vision, and actually shuts down parts of my brain, and that reduces the options I have in that moment to actually come up with the best solution. But now that I know what George is on about, I can notice what he's up to. And I can notice whether what he thinks is real actually is real, whether I want to buy into that constant stream of negative thoughts, fears, or I can choose to do something that I really want to do. I remember that he's just trying to keep me safe and happy, as he's defined it, but I also notice how listening to him without challenging has led me to do lots of things that weren't particularly useful or helpful in my life and caused me to stay stuck, limited in my relationships, and made me overindulge in unhelpful things. The second thing then is starting to notice what your brain is up to and noticing whether continuing to focus on what George is throwing up to you all the time is helping your life or hindering it. Because what you focus on expands. It is useful to worry to the point where you've fixed and planned for what you can control and set contingencies in place for what you can't, but any excess worrying beyond that can be stealing life in the here and now with loved ones and stopping you from doing things that are important to you. So what can we do with George? Once you've noticed George, you can actually begin to see that you are not your thoughts. You're a soul having thoughts, and you get to choose what you focus your thoughts on. Take a thought like, I'm useless. Say it out loud. Now say, I'm having the thought that I'm useless. Then say, I just noticed that I'm having the thought that I'm useless. First up, you can see that you can observe your thoughts so you don't actually have to be them. And see how when you start labeling them and noticing they're just thoughts, the push of them moves further away, creating space for you to choose what to do with that thought. Be open and curious. Notice what George is up to and decide whether following his advice is going to take you closer or further away from being who you want to be. You can then say, thanks, George. I know you're looking out for me and want the best for me, but we're not doing it that way anymore. I've got another valued direction I want to try, so I'm going to do that. I know that you're going to be uncomfortable, you'll kick up a fuss, but I'm just going to let you sit down over there and I'm going to be brave and try this. George will probably sit quietly for all of 5 seconds, and we need to keep reminding him that we're going to do something we think is better for both of us. After a few years of doing this, you may get a whole 10-minute break, but you will be able to laugh with George eventually. So go, find your brain, give it a name, be open and curious, breathe, find space, and explore.